Last June, my husband and I got to go to Africa on a service trip, and it was an amazing trip. But before we went to the village for service, we were lucky enough to be able to do a safari. And let me tell you what we saw on this safari. I'm going to share with you here about elephants. Blew my mind. It was by far the coolest thing I saw the whole trip. It was so neat to see how animals interact with each other, and there's this clear intelligence and communication I just never realized existed. It was so awesome. So let me walk you through some videos that we caught and the footage I did grab, and I'll tell you about what we didn't get on video, but was equally amazing. So here you have it. This is a herd of elephants. Okay, so as you can see, there was probably, I don't know, 15 to 18 elephants, and they tend to stick in herds like this. And typically in a herd, you have a matriarch. So there will be one female that basically calls all the shots for the herd. And as we came upon them, there was multiple tour vehicles and things, and we had positioned ourselves in kind of a V because this herd was starting to come to cross the road. And so we had positioned ourselves in a V so the herd would technically literally have to go between the vehicles to get to the other side of the road so we could all get close-up shots, a neat experience. And so as we positioned ourselves, the herd kind of stopped and they didn't know what to do. Now, as you can see in this video, the one matriarch here on the far left, the biggest one, she sees us and she's like, okay, we'll go around. So she starts to lead the herd around off to the side. Well, as she's doing that, one of the males comes up and he's looking at us and he starts to come between us. And he's like, no, this is faster. It's safe. It's fine. We can do it. And the matriarch is still going. She wants to go around, and you have the rest of the herd is kind of confused, and they're like, do we follow the matriarch? She calls all the shots, but he's telling us it's safe, it's okay. And look what he does with his trunk. This was the coolest thing. He lifted his trunk up like an arm. So as you can see, most of the time, their trunks are down at the ground. They really rarely bring their trunk up. And they use their trunk like a hand. He lifts his trunk up, points to the matriarch in the herd, the direction they're going. Then he turns and points to the road between these tour buses, or tour jeeps, I guess they were. And he points to that with his trunk. And he's just like, we're not going that way. We're going this way. And right after he did that, he was like, okay, this is what I said. He put his foot down and he's like, this is what we're doing. And he just started going between the tour jeeps. And it was so funny because you had all the rest of the elephants in the herd kind of sat there and like, what do we do? Who do we listen to? And they were confused. And some of them were like, oh, okay, we'll follow him. And that matriarch, she was not even going to look at him for a little bit. She was there and she was just like, I call all the shots. I call the shots. I'm the boss. And she kept trying to like nudge her way a little bit there. And slowly the more and more of the herd started following the male. And so finally she reluctantly brought up the rear of the herd and went his way, and fine, he calls this shot. It's up to him. And so eventually the whole herd had crossed between the tour jeeps, this little V in the road that we had made. So we got to see, we were only about 15 feet away from them. And it was 15, 20 feet, something like that. So neat. So you see them all crossing. You can see here the jeeps that we had parked so that they could cross between us. And they had plenty of room. And these elephants, like I said, there was this power struggle, and it was so awesome to see this little power struggle between the matriarch and one of the males. And here's the matriarch bringing up the rear. She was just a little annoyed that she wasn't the one calling this shot, and so funny. And then what was even more funny was at the end, after they crossed, there were some words spoken in elephantese there was, I mean, they had some words, and I can't remember if it was the matriarch and the male, or if it was just two males, another male kind of defending his mom maybe or something. It was pretty funny. So to see them use their trunk, I had no idea that elephants would do that. And like I said, watch them, and their trunk is always down as they're walking and stuff, unless they're eating, putting something in their mouth, or communicating. That's when they bring their trunk up, and they use it like a hand. And it was so crazy because he points you and you. So here you have a little bit of a showdown, a little tiff there. They're having some elephant words for a little bit. And that was funny to watch them kind of, they're communicating. You don't know what they're saying, but it was clear. These two were face to face and having a little spat. And then they're like, all right, we got this. We good? We good? We cool? All right. Well, no, you want to have it out for a little bit more? All right. And then they go at and then have this little conversation for a minute, bump their tusks together. And then, all right, are we good? Do you understand? Are you in your place? And then they like, all right, let's go. Let's catch up to the herd. Because by this point, the rest of the herd had kept walking, and these guys were a little bit behind. But it was so neat. After this, so the next day, we saw something equally as amazing, and I wish I got it on video, but I just did pictures. We didn't expect this to happen. We had seen a lot of elephants throughout our tour. So we were going down one of the back roads, and there was this elephant right off the road, and this was in the bush, so it was just right there. And so we stopped to take a picture because we were just so close. We could all just take selfies pretty much with this elephant. And this was a male. So here it is. My husband and I mean, this is how close we are. He let us sit there and take pictures for probably a minute or two. And then he started flapping his ears, which is a sign he's annoyed. And then he got his trunk and he pointed to us and he pointed to the road. And it was his way of saying, you on your way. And it was so crazy. And we were all like, okay, then I guess we'll leave. I mean, he flapped his ears, and that's like a sign of aggression or annoyance. That they're, other than that, they're pretty peaceful and stuff. But he was like, he sat there and let us take a few pictures. And then he's like, enough, you on the road, off you go. It was so amazing. So I just thought I'd share that, and hopefully you enjoyed this and learned something new about elephants like we did on our trip. Stay tuned for more videos from our Africa trip and some more things that we saw and learned.